Okay, you guys ready out there? Okay, I'm gonna get everybody's attention, please. My name's George Venizelos. I'm the executive director of the Federal Law Enforcement Foundation, and I'm gonna be your master of ceremonies today. And also, I was 28 years in federal law enforcement. My last job, I was assistant director in charge of the New York FBI office. So my passion for law enforcement is off the charts. And my appreciation for the city, state, and federal law enforcement is very important to me. And I just wanted to get a message across that this is an event. This is the third annual event that's been done from WABC. And I want to thank John and Margot Casmatidis for bringing this event forward. Thank you, John and Margot. We're at a time in this country that law enforcement has been underappreciated. We're at a time in this country where we need to support our law enforcement, and that's what this is all about. This is not a Republican issue. It's not a Democratic issue. This is an issue to support our law enforcement, because without law and order in our cities will not survive. And without law and order in our cities, people won't survive. So it's important that we have that foundation. And I've had the privilege in my life to work with incredible law enforcement. I've worked with NYPD, I've worked with Boston PD, I've worked with Philadelphia PD, I've worked with the state polices in 3 states. And I can tell you, there's no more dedicated people than the people in law enforcement. So the Back to Blue concept is all about supporting our law enforcement. These people put their lives on the line every day. As you see now, there was a shooting recently in Newark where 2 police officers got shot. And this is about appreciating what they do every day. And that's what this is about. That's what this day is about. And that's what this day that the radio station dedicates to Back in the Blue, back in the appreciation we have for the men and women of federal law enforcement, state, local, and federal, all law enforcement. So I want to thank everybody for coming to this. I want to thank the support we have from the NYPD here, the support we have from all the Nassau, we have Nassau, Suffolk counties. We have a lot of support on the radio all day. So you'll hear all the support we have. But it's critical that we all understand the men and women who wear a uniform, who protect our streets every day, are doing it out of love and doing it out of public service. So we really have to protect them. All right, we'll get on with the program. We have a bunch of speakers. We're going to try to keep it short and sweet with all the speakers. The first speaker we have here is going to be Paul DiGiacomo. He's the president of the Detective Endowment Association. Paul?
First, let me just say how honored I am to be here today in the Back to Blue movement. John Casmatidis, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. New York City detectives are out on the street every day doing a very difficult job at a very difficult time in our history. New York City detectives right now have a clearance rate of over 85% in shootings and homicides. During this difficult time, during the anti-police movement, they're still out there doing their jobs and putting the victims of crime first. We've been telling many people in our state over the past 3 years that the bail reform laws that were enacted are not working. And it's quite evident that the time in 2019 when these bail reform laws were enacted till now, there's been an uptick in violent crime. And it's because of the bail reform laws that were enacted and the message that is being sent to the criminal element that it's okay to commit a crime because there are going to be no consequences. But with all that being said, New York City detectives, New York City cops are still out there putting their lives on the line every day. And it's great to have an event like this and be recognized and appreciate the men and women out across our country that are putting their lives on the line. So we'll continue to back the blue, and just remember this: what would this world be without the blue? We'd be in worse shape than we are now. Thank you for your time. God bless you all, and we'll see you out there.
Thank you, Paul. Next speaker is Bruce Blakeman, Nassau County Executive.
Thank you very much, George. I want to say a special thank you to John and Margot Katzimatidis and WABC. WABC has always been backing the men and women in blue. They are pro-law enforcement. You hear it on their radio show every day, each and every one, always backing the men and women who protect us. And what we have now throughout the United States is a pandemic of crime. What is going on here in the United States, starting with the defund the police movement, is now we've seen the enactment of progressive, woke, ultra-liberal laws that give criminals more rights than victims, that make us less safe in our communities, that make us less safe when we go out to shop. I've heard from shop owners, business people, they've had enough of it. The shoplifting, the larceny, the burglaries, they've all increased. The rearrests, because of bail reform, are all way up. And the illegal firearms that are on our streets and the laws that protect the criminals with illegal firearms is just so counterintuitive. When you think about defund the police, think about how ridiculous that is. In Nassau County, we have the 12th largest police department in the United States. We have well-paid, professional, well-educated, well-trained police officers. And that costs money. But it's a great investment. It's an investment on our communities and keeping them safe. So when people talk about defunding the police, why would you want to have less police officers? Why would you want to have less educated police officers? Why would you want to have police officers that weren't well paid? It doesn't make sense. The opposite will make us more safe and it'll create a better environment by having professional law enforcement personnel to protect us. So I just want to say that it's a tremendous honor for me to be here with these brave men and women of law enforcement who we have a great relationship with, whether it be NYPD, whether it's our federal partners, our Suffolk County partners. We have a great relationship in Nassau County. We are larger than 10 states, and our voices need to be heard. The people in my county want safe communities, and they do not want to defund the police, and they do not want liberal, woke, progressive laws that give criminals more rights than victims. So thank you very much.
Okay, the next speaker is the Suffolk County Sheriff, Eric Toulon. Eric?
Good morning, and thank you, WABC Radio and Mr. C, as I call him affectionately, for inviting me here to speak. In 1982, I started my career as a young correction officer on Rikers Island. Never did I think 40 years later, as the elected sheriff in Suffolk County, would I have to be standing before a group of people to say, back the blue. It was automatically something innate in the citizens of New York City to back the members of the New York City Department of Correction and the New York City Police Department in the tough jobs that they do every single day. We have seen a rise in mental health issues, substance abuse issues, suicide amongst law enforcement persons. There is no doubt that the conditions that they're working in every single day and the legislations that have been enacted that have made their job so difficult, that has caused these issues and these men and women that wake up every single day, put on a uniform, and come to work to do the best job possible with the conditions that they're working in. I cannot thank everyone here today for your support, the support of myself, the support of the men and women in blue. I am extremely fortunate to have Ray Tierney as a district attorney, Rodney Harrison as a Suffolk County Police Commissioner, and we work tirelessly together to ensure that the citizens of Suffolk County are safe. God bless you all, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, now this part of the program before is near and dear to my heart. We have we have the federal presence here too. We have ATF, the special agent in charge of ATF, John DeVito. Now, ATF has played a major role recently in safe streets, getting guns off the streets, working closely with NYPD and other partners to really federalize some of these crimes to get these people off the streets. So John is going to have a special guest with him. So at this point, I want him to introduce a special guest. John DeVito.
Well, thank you very much. This is an honor to be here today. Thank you for 77 WABC. Thank you, John, for allowing me to share in this special day to celebrate the great work of the men and women in law enforcement as they struggle on a daily basis to reduce violent gun crime across this state. You know, we have an untenable mission in life to help protect our citizens from violent gun crime. Much like cancer, it's a systemic problem with our society that lacks a definitive cure. We, as law enforcement executives, must continually develop innovative means by which to mitigate the risks violent gun crime poses to the public. The only way we can do that is by working together on a daily basis between law enforcement and the community. Call my mama. The last words of Brandon Hendricks as he lay bleeding out, the innocent victim of gang violence while he was celebrating a friend's birthday. Call my mama. Unfortunately, his mama couldn't be there that day, but she has carried that message and that mission in life every day since. I consider her one of my closest allies, friends, and partners in our joint pursuit to reduce violent gun crime across this city. Because the only way we're going to do that is by bridging the gap between the community and law enforcement. And there's no better advocate of that than Miss Eve Hendricks. Eve.
Thank you. Good afternoon. First, let me remind everyone that my son, Brandon Hendricks, was not part of a gang. He was not in a gang. He was an obedient child, a good son that was at a barbecue and got shot, got hit senselessly, and he died. And yes, he did say, call my mom, tell her I love her. The bail reform is not working. It's not working because as we can see, we have criminals coming out of jail, out of prison. I read somewhere in Instagram that a judge is allowing 2 hardcore murderers, gang members, out because of good behavior. Of course, I will be on my best behavior because I don't want to be locked up. That's not right. We cannot have criminals coming out of jail to repeat the same thing over and over and over again because our children are dying. They're dying. The numbers of crimes are going up every day because they are not signing the bail reform. They're not. Maybe it's because it's not their children that is getting killed. But we need the governor to look into it. She's running, but she's avoiding that, and that is a big thing that should be on her agenda. Saving the lives of New York City. Not just kids, but everyone, including herself. We need to focus on the victims. Every time someone gets shot, especially a child, I go through hell, because everything comes back all at once. We need more police officers on the streets. We need them in the subway. I need them in my community. When I get off work at 11:30 p.m. at night and I see a cop car, I am happy. I thank God. We need our community to work closer, stronger with the NYPD for a safe community. We cannot do without the cops. You want to defund them, but you have them as your detailers. You have them when you call 911 because someone at 2 a.m. is breaking in your home. So we need to work together as a community because our communities need to be protected. We need to come together as one. Forget about being Republican, as he said. Forget about being Democrat. But be a human, a person with a heart. Think about another child laying on the street, bleeding. Bleeding. These streets that you walked are filled with bloods, filled with mothers' tears. It has to come to an end. Now, we need the bail reform to be signed. We need more police officers in our communities, on the subway. We need to back the NYPD because we need them every day. Thank you.
Wow. If that doesn't move you, nothing will. Thank you, Eve. Thank you, John. Another federal agency that really plays a major role in street crime is a Drug Enforcement Administration. An agency I spent 4 years in, so they're dear to my heart. And an agency that I'm a firm believer that a lot of street crimes that we live with today are drug related in one way or another. So with no further ado, I want to have Special Agent in Charge, Frank Tarantino, come up. Thank you.
Thank you, George. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today, and I would like to thank Margot and John Castamatidis and the WABC 770 family for this opportunity. I started my career in 1998 as a brand new DEA agent. I was assigned to the New York Drug Enforcement Task Force, the oldest task force in the country. And that task force is made up of NYPD and the New York State Police. And it was during that time that I learned the value and the importance of working collaboratively and cooperatively with our state and local counterparts. And that's exactly why we're here today. We're here today to recognize that the men and women that are standing alongside me, the men and women in law enforcement, work tirelessly every single day together to keep people safe. There is no more important mission today, nothing more vital than the work that we do today in drug law enforcement. With 107,622 deaths in last year alone, one person's dying every 5 minutes. 195 people every single day dying from drug poisonings. There is nothing more important than that kind of work. And DEA's mission is to save lives. And we do that every single day with our state and local counterparts, with our law enforcement partners from the NYPD, from the state police, and from every other state and local federal agency across the country in our 251 offices across the United States. And that commitment, that dedication, and that devotion is what the people in blue are dedicated to do. I wear this bracelet every single day as a reminder, not just because of my cousin that was killed in the line of duty in 2016, but also in honor of those who serve today, who served before me, and that will continue to carry the torch as we move forward together to keep Americans and communities healthier and safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Our next guest is important because another important aspect to this whole back to blue process is the prosecution side. You could arrest yourself out of a problem, but unless you take the problems off the streets, it does no good, as we're seeing today. Now, we have with us Ray Tierney. He's a Suffolk County District Attorney and a critical player in Suffolk County, right?
First, I want to thank John and Margot Katsimatidis and WABC for inviting me here today. It was an honor and a privilege for me to make the ride out from Suffolk County to come and honor the brave men and women in uniform who work every day to keep us all safe. You know, it's after 30 years of law enforcement, it's really great to see, you know, George Venizelos, John DeVito, you know, guys that I've put and worked cases together for these last 30 or so some odd years. I met Eve this summer. She is an unbelievable person who took her personal grief and decided to do something about it. And unfortunately, I've met so many moms like Eve, and you know, their ability to take their pain and to turn that into something positive and to work tirelessly every day so no other mom has to experience what they do. You know, I think I speak for all law enforcement here when I say, you know, we do what we do for people like Eve and their families, and that's why it means so much to us. And so, you know, we're out in Suffolk County. We're working every day with our great sheriff, Toulon, with our commissioner, Rodney Harrison, and we're working every day to keep people safe and to investigate these crimes, prosecute these crimes, hold people responsible, and keep our communities safe. But we need help. So what I will ask, and I'll tell you, when we go into these communities are like-minded. They want to support their law enforcement. They want to be safe. So what I would say to our public officials, I would challenge them, stop paying lip service to public safety and start initiating laws and programs that will actually affect public service. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ray. Our last two speakers are another important piece of the puzzle here. NYPD, everybody knows how big they are. They have different associations. You know, we heard from the DEA earlier on. But we have two other associations we hear from. They do a tremendous job of really backing their people and actually helping their people, watching their backs with all the issues. So our next speaker will be Lou Turco. Lou.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Lou Turco. I'm the president of the Lieutenants Union for the NYPD. Before I start, Mr. and Mrs. Katsimatidis, thanks for this event again today. I have over 30 years in the police department. I never thought I had to get up here and thank people for backing the blue. A couple of years ago, we came up with this great idea to defund the police, and we're seeing what happens when we defund the police. Now everybody wants cops everywhere because that idea just doesn't work. And I'm not going to get into the bail reform because everybody touched on that. I think the press, and I'm going to point to you guys and gals, are going to play an important role in getting the city back. We're watching crime go up. We're watching law and order go up. And when a politician tells you consequences for crime, the next question's got to be, what does that mean? What does consequences mean? I am telling you, in the 5 boroughs, if you were able to find out the prosecutorial rate of the DAs in these 5 boroughs, you're going to be shocked. We're prosecuting nobody. We wake up in the morning, the men and women in the police department, just think of this for a second. The first thing they put on is a bulletproof vest. That's the tools of our trade, is a vest to make sure we don't get shot. And if we do get shot, we got a shot to go home. That's insanity when you think of that. So when they chase or go after a bad person and bring him to justice, 2 days ago I had a lieutenant came in contact with a man with a machete, and he attacked him and he had to shoot him. That's what we do for a living. You need to ask, what are consequences to the crime in the city of New York? They're prosecuting nobody. And if we don't have somebody get incarcerated for the crime they did or pay a monetary for the crime they did, then when I grew up, it was crime doesn't pay. The city of New York, right now, crime pays. You hear the word recidivism all the time. Well, what does that mean? That means he's been doing it over and over again, or she's been doing it over and over again. And they're not going to stop until someone puts them either in jail or comes up with a way to stop them from doing it. So the press, I'm going to tell you, you guys are going to play, and gals play an important role in this. Ask the next politician that says consequences, what does that mean? Ask the DAs to be transparent with their prosecutorial rates. Ask them who they are holding accountable for crime. Because I don't know what it is. And I want to thank John again for everything you've done for us, Johnny. Thanks.
Thank you, Lou. Okay, our last speaker is going to be the Chris Monahan. He's the president of NYPD Captain's Endowment.
John, Margot, thank you very much. Obviously, I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. I think a lot of the speakers covered a lot of issues. But I can tell you one thing, the men and women in the NYPD appreciates an event like this, John, because I represent captains through the chiefs in the New York City Police Department. And either it's a cop in the radio car, it's a detective doing an investigation squad, it's a detective doing a narcotics investigation, it's a detective working with our federal partners, it's the sergeants and lieutenants that are supervising them. My members say they have never, ever, ever seen the cops, detectives, sergeants, lieutenants work harder than they did today, and that have they done in the past. We've been through this in the 90s. We're back here in 2022, and we're working hard again, and we're going to turn the city around, and we're going to bring it back. John, Margot, thank you, because the men in blue really appreciates this. This goes a long way.
Okay, I just want to close it by, first of all, thanking everybody who showed up here today. I want to thank all the speakers that came and gave their point of views. I want to thank WABC for bringing this forward, this issue. Thank John and Margot for getting behind it. This is a really important issue, because until we get safety in our streets, nothing will happen right. So I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank the press for showing up and coming. And what we need, this is like the gentleman said, this is an important issue that we need to keep out there, because if we want to save this city, we need to get rid of the crime. Thank you.